Hello, hi, and welcome to this episode of the Mandy Meyer podcast. As per usual, this is the podcast where we chat all about your health, your fitness, your health and fat loss, and about you achieving all your goals within those certain areas. And it is very important to remember that the information, the tips, the advice that I share in any episode of this podcast is not some information that I just thumb-sucked out of the middle of nowhere and decided, oh, this is great, let me record this. All this information, all these tips, all this advice around your health, your fat loss, you achieving those goals comes from me actually going through it, comes from me actually changing my lifestyle drastically and me losing 40 kilograms. Now, the reason I give you that information is because I want you to know that I have been through it. I have been through the struggles. I still go through the struggles. And I sure as fuck know that it is not easy. And I'm not just another dickhead sitting here telling you what to do without having experienced it on my own. Now, what I'm going to tell you in this episode, I want you to see as empowering, okay? And what I'm going to tell you is the power is in your hands. Now, I want you to see that as empowering. I don't want you to see that as, I almost said, as a direct threat. Yo, Mandy's so dramatic. Like, I want you to get excited knowing that you have the power to change anything that you are not currently happy with. You have the power to change, say, your food choices, for example. You have the power to increase your daily movement. How exciting and how empowering is that? Most people see change as a chore. Most people see change as something that gets put to the bottom of the priority list because, quote unquote, now's not the right time. Right? But if you shift that mindset and you see it as a form of empowering yourself, like you have the power to make those changes. How damn exciting is that? Now, making those changes is not always going to be easy. That I know for a fact. Hence why I started this podcast the way that I did, right? Making those changes is not always going to be easy. But I always want you to remind yourself that the power is in your hands to make those changes. And I'll give you a bit of an example over here. The last couple of months, there's a couple of things that I haven't been happy about. I found myself complaining a little bit more about certain things, which obviously I'm not going to go into detail about. And then I had a chat with myself. And I'm like, Mandy, you can either sit here and continue complaining about the things that you are not currently happy with or the little things that are bugging you currently, or you can use the power in your hands and make changes so that you can get to a point where you are happier and you're not complaining that much, right? And that is the conversation that I did have with myself. Now, this is where I want to say the struggle comes in. We all have certain situations or we have certain things. Maybe there's certain things taking place that you are not happy with. Maybe there's certain things that lead you to complaining a lot. Maybe there's certain things that you want to change and you're constantly thinking about making that change. The difficult part is the execution of the change that you are constantly thinking about. But again, it's only you that can make that change because the power is in your hands to start making that change. Let's say, for example, you are currently fatigued and you're not sleeping enough and all you want to do is just sleep a little bit more every single night. If you do an audit on where your time is going before bed and what time you're getting into bed at night and you find that you are doom scrolling on social media for an hour to 2 hours before you go to bed, it is only you that can make the change as to stop doom scrolling. No one else can make that change for you. The power to change is in your hands. It's only you that can say, okay, no more doom scrolling before bed. Or for example, if you're snacking on foods that you don't really want to be eating before you go to bed and it's pushing your calories through the roof every single day, the only person that can make that change is you, because the power of change is within your hands. But again, I want you to excite it. Instead of saying, oh, I doom scroll so much before I go to bed and now I can't sleep properly, or oh, I'm snacking constantly before I go to bed and I'm in maintenance calories instead of a calorie deficit. Instead of complaining about it the entire time, ask yourself, number one, do I want to change? And then if the answer is yes, say, how can I change? Because guess what? The power to change is within your hands. And that's what I said to myself. I'm like, Mandy, you can either continue complaining, but I think those closest to you are also now tired of these complaints, hey? And I say that with a big smile on my face. Or you can make the change to try and get to the point where you are more content or you're happier, and then there will be less complaining. And I took option B because I'm like, you know what? The power is in my hands. The power to change is within my hands. And it's only me that can make that change. And I saw it as a form of, number one, empowerment. I see change as a form of growing, so growth. And a lot of people, like I said, see change as a chore. I don't want you to look at change as a chore. I want you to get excited about it, because guess what? That opportunity to change is there. That is exciting. That is empowering. When you tick those boxes and you start making that change, that should excite you, because you know that it's you that is working on the change. It's you that is working on growing, and it shouldn't be a chore. And I always have this little joke with myself. Actually, it's not even a joke. It's reality. Is I'm always having a look at the things that I complain about the most, right? I very rarely complain. And when I do complain, I do know that it's something that is bugging me. And I always have a look at that. I'm like, what are you complaining about? And how long have you been complaining about it? Then I ask myself, can you change it? Because if I can change it, and I can change it to the point where I am now happy and it's working for me and I'm feeling good, then I know a change must be made, right? So again, if there's something that you are constantly, I know it sounds horrible, guys, please forgive me, if you're constantly complaining about, like maybe you're constantly complaining about unwanted or unnecessary snacking, maybe you're constantly complaining about spiraling out of control over the weekends, maybe you're constantly complaining about not getting enough sleep, have a look at that. But don't be like judgerig with yourself. Don't be like rude towards yourself when you are looking at these things. You're really just looking at it so that you can make a positive change. Identify those things and then ask yourself, is it within your power to make a change, to make it a little bit better? You are highly capable of making that change. And also, like I said in the beginning of this episode, I know it's not easy. I know change is scary. I know change is difficult. But again, I know that you are 100% capable. I also know what amazing things it will bring about to your health and fat loss expedition. And I also know that the power is in your hands to make that change. And as harsh as this closing message might sound, I just want to give you a gentle reminder to let you know that you can either continue complaining about certain things, or you can ask yourself, can I change the situation? Can I change that certain thing? And if you can, remember, the power is in your hands to create that change. Let that excite you. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you like I usually do. Keep smiling, keep laughing, and keep being kind to one another. Much love, your friend who tells you the things that maybe you don't want to hear, but you have to hear. Mandy.